Om. शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यां मलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम्। ॐ ध्यायेन्नित्यं महेशं रजतगिरिनिभं चारुचन्द्रावतंसं रत्नाकल्पोज्ज्वलाङ्गं परशुमृगवराभीतिहस्तं प्रसन्नं पद्मासीनं समन्तात् स्तुतममरगणैः व्याघ्रकृत्तिं वसानं विश्वाद्यं विश्वबीजं निखिलभयहरं पञ्चवक्त्रं त्रिनेत्रम्। ॐ नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्।
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किं कुर्वत सञ्जय। श्रीभगवानुवाच क्लैप्यं भस्मकमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वयुपपद्यते क्षुत्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। अर्जुनोवाच किं तत् ब्रह्म किमध्यात्मं किं कर्म पुरुषोत्तम अधिभूतं च किं प्रोक्तम् अधिदैवं किमुच्यते। श्रीभगवानुवाच अक्षरं ब्रह्म परमं स्वभावोऽध्यात्ममुच्यते भूतभावोद्भवकरो विसर्गः कर्मसंज्ञितः। अर्जुनोवाच अधियज्ञः कथं कोत्र देहेऽस्मिन् मधुसूदन प्रयाणकाले च कथं ज्ञेयोऽसि नियतात्मभिः। श्रीभगवान् उवाच अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः पुरुषश्चाधिदैवतम् अधियज्ञो अहमेवात्र देहे देहभृतां वर अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरम् यः प्रयाति स मद्भावं याति नास्यत्र संशयः यं यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भावभावितः अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थानुचिन्तयन् प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमवेश्य सम्यक् स तं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम् सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्धन्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् स्वामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम् अशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः अग्निः ज्योतिरः शुक्लः षण्मासा उत्तरायणम् तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्मविदो जनाः धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनम् तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिः योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गतीयेते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकया यात्यनावृत्तिम् अन्यया वर्तते पुनः नैते स्थिति पार्थ जानन् योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपस्सु चैव दानेषु यत्पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम् अत्येति तत्सर्वमिदं विदित्वा योगी परं स्थानमुपैति चाद्यम् इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात् राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रम् इदमुत्तमम् प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम् अश्रद्धानाः पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम् कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम् न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबन्धन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु अवजानन्ति मां मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितम् परं भावम् अजानन्तो मम भूत महेश्वरम् महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्त्य अनन्यमनसो ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम् अहं क्रतुरहं यज्ञः स्वधा अहमौषधम् मन्त्रोऽहं हमेवाज्यम् अहम् अग्निरहं हुतम् पिताहमस्य जगतो माता धाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार ऋक्सामयजुरेव च गतिर्भर्ता प्रभु साक्षी निवासः शरणं सुहृत् प्रभवः प्रलयः स्थानं निधानं बीजमव्ययम् अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्य विधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेनातश्च वन्ति ते समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत् सुदाचारो भजते माम् अनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सः क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्तैत्वम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः.
The entire tenor of the Bhagavad Gita changes after chapter 12. The first 12 chapters form a certain sequence. So what is the sequence? Let us try to think back. So you remember that in past satsangs I've told you that Advaita Vedanta being that culminating philosophical process by which direct experience is possible, refers back, if you read the Prakarana Grantha such as Aparokshana Bhuti, Bhagavan Sri Shankaracharya, he says, very good, this is all Advaita Vedanta. There are some qualifications, Adhikari and Sadhana Chatushtaya, among that Shatka Sampatti, sixfold virtues. Then he says, well, if all this is very difficult, at least you should gain some competence in Raj Yoga, please. So in that final chapter, he says, explains how Raj Yoga can be interpreted in the context of Advaita Vedanta. Then he says, well, my dear son, if your difficulty in practicing Raj Yoga also, then at least try to practice Hatha Yoga and subdue the passions of the body. So then he gives that. So similarly, you can see that what his instruction is, this is the view from the peak. If you want to come down to camp 3, camp 2, base camp, this is how you should proceed, right? Very much like in mountaineering. Everest ascent is done like this. It's also like an ascent of Everest only. So now, Bhagavan Sri Krishna does the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 2, he tells Arjuna the truth. He says, this is Sankhya Yoga. This is what's happening. He is speaking from the pinnacle. Right? What does Arjuna say? He says, you're confusing me with these confusing words. Should I act or should I not act? What should I do? So then Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, comes down. Camp number 3. Okay, now let me tell you. He gives him all the other Upadeshas. Right? Dhyana Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, etc., etc. Finally, chapter 12, he comes and he says, Bhakti Yoga. And then slowly he is drawing Arjuna inward. He gives him Vishwarupa Darshanam. Right? Then after that, he knows that Arjuna is now convinced. So he says, now I've told you. The first direct truth already has been said in 2. And systematically how you should approach it. In this one, he says very beautifully, remember, and it will come towards the end of the chapter, he gives again a gradation. If you are not able to do this, do at least this. If you are not able to do this, do at least this. If you are not able to do this, do at least this. Finally, if you're not able to do anything, do your work and give the fruits to God. By this, you will attain the highest. Right? So it's a most beautiful manual, a primer, a path. And chapter 12 gives this. After chapter 12, it goes more deep into various aspects of knowledge. And so you will see a distinct change in that the instructional manual is 1 to 12, or 2 to 12, if you will. And then later is a more elaboration on various truths. So where were we? The key point we learned last time. Oh yeah, maybe you can tell me. What was the key point we learned last time in chapter 12? what were the two paths? Which one is better? Which one is worse? Which one is harder? Which one is easier?
Nirguna Upasana.
So there are two. One is meditating on the unmanifest, right? Avyakta. And the other one is, or the Nirguna aspect of Brahman. The other one is devotion to the Saguna aspect of Brahman, manifested as the Trimurti. And again, of that, I promised you I will at some point point out why the worship of two is preferred and not the other, not Brahma. So Arjuna asked this question. He says, right, which ones, who is better integrated? Of those who elaborately worship you and those who worship the Avyakta, Aksharam, Brahma, who among them know yoga the best? Right? And so what does Bhagavan say? He gives a diplomatic answer. He says, of course, the ones who worship me are best integrated. But those who elaborately worship the imperishable are no less, right? Because they are my very self. Right? They attain me indeed. Right? So he does not say that they are any less. The state attained is the same. All he says is, from his vast psychological experience, he says, their toil is harder. Their minds being set on the unmanifest, embodied beings find it hard to tread the path of the unmanifest. So, klesho adhikatara tesham avyakta asakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhi avapyate. It is difficult for embodied beings to attain that integration with the unmanifest. And so, where did we stop last time? Does anyone?
Fifth verse. We did fifth one.
We did fifth. So we have to read 6, right? Can someone please read 6?
Ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayantu pasate.
Ye tu, and those who, sarvani, all, karmani, works, mayi, to me, sanyasya, having given up, matparaha, dedicated to me, having me as the supreme goal, ananyenaiva yogena, through the undivided union, mam dhyayanta upasate, and who worship me and meditate on me. Right? So, ye tu, that however, so this is following the previous verse was, it is harder for the ones who worship the unmanifest. An abstract principle is difficult to worship, is difficult to integrate the mind into. Okay? The mind is made of, the mind apprehends the world as name and form. Names and forms. If you look at the brain, there is something called Broca's area, which is where language is situated. When we speak, that area lights up in the functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI. On the other hand, peculiarly, the spatial cognition is in the other half of the brain. And the two are joined by this corpus callosum. And in our Vedam, I told you a long time ago in Chandogya Upanishad, they talk about the mind being like two amalaka fruits, the two parts of an amalaka fruit joined in the middle. Name and form. How brilliant, right? Now, to transcend that which is beyond name, right? Achintya. Right? Means that name and form itself has to be transcended, right? On the other hand, after that, I told you that all jnanis come forth when they emerge. The first word is affirmation of the Lord. right? If you take the three great gurus, you take Bhagavan Sri Shankaracharya, a great mystic. Often this attribute of his is not recognized. He is not just an intellectual giant, a great mystic, one who had the true experience at very young age, and then came out and wrote so many Bhakti Mala stotrams, right? Why? Kanakadhara stotram, composed at a very young age, right? Because the first sensible thing that a jnani says on emerging into speech is the acknowledgement of the Lord in the dual world, right? The only thing that person says. So, therefore, what Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying is take this path is also easier, right? And so he says, Ye to, those who surrender all their works to me. What does surrendering the works mean? It means that you do what you think is right given the wisdom accorded to you at that instant, right? The consequence is not up to us. So if it is done with and we ourselves know, actually deep down in our conscience, we know which works are going to bring good fruits and which works are, don't we? We all do, actually, right? So when you do the good works, you know the good fruit is going to come at some point, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a few years, although it is true that the good work brings fruit faster. If we have done something with a wrong intention, or we knowingly know that this was not the best thing to do, it just means you have to accept the consequences. That's all, right? That is what surrendering the fruit means. It means that if something befalls, then one has to recognize that this is the consequence of some past action that was not of the top caliber, cadre, right? Okay, so meditating on me in a state of undivided union. Those who surrender works, etc., etc., worship me. So what happens to them? 7 answers that. Please, can you read 7? Teshamaham.
तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्.
Teshamaham samudharta. I to them of them who have set their thoughts on me. Mrityu samsara sagarat, from the ocean of empirical life leading to death. Bhavami, I deliver them. Na chirat, very quickly, soon, not for a long time. Partha, O Arjuna, Maya avesha ketasam, those who have set their thoughts on me. I, the Lord, teshamiti, tesham mad upasanaika paranam, aham ishvarah samudharta, me as the Lord. Kutaha iti aha mrityu samsara sagarat, mrityu yukta samsara, mrityu samsara. Sa eva sagara, eva sagara. Dustaratvat, hard to cross. Tasmat mrityu samsara sagarat, aham tesham samudharta bhavami. Thence I shall deliver them. Not after a long time. Kim tarhi kshiprameva, very quickly. You know, earlier in the set of verses we read, even if one is called suduracharo, one who is most excelling in bad actions and bad behavior, if that person follows the Lord, he should be considered a sadhu, Bhagavan says, because very rapidly his behavior changes. They have concentrated their thoughts on me in my cosmic form, in my earlier it said, right? Matparaha. Maya avesha chetasaha tesha. Yatah evam tasmat. That being the case, therefore, can we read 8, please?
मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः.
Very nice. Mayi eva mana adasva. Fix your mind on me alone. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. Let your understanding be absorbed in me. Nivasishyasi. Mayeva. You will be absorbed in me. You will live in me, actually. Nivasa is living in me, dwell in me. Mayi eva. Ata urdhvam na samshaya. There is no doubt about this. So, even in the Yoga Sutra, we talk about dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Dharana is desha bandha chittasya dharana. That is fixing the mind on a particular location. Correct? So, whether it be a murti, pratima, a form, the omkar itself, or a rose, or whatever you want, or the image of a guru, etc., etc. Some place, locatively, the mind is fixed. That's what he's saying here. He's saying that dharana karo, put your mind on me alone, right? It is much easier to fix the mind on an object than to transcend the very names and forms completely. And at any rate, this is a prerequisite for that, right? The one who attains the other approach, imperishable, must cross through this. If they don't have dharana, how will they have dhyan and then samadhi? So Bhagavan is saying, easier way, I will bring you, just come up to dharana and you will be fine. So, on me alone, mayi eva, Vishwarupe Ishvare Manaha Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam Samadhatsva, the one mind which is capable of both having an imagination and a contrary fantasy, as it were, characteristics of doubt and imagination. Samadhatsva, fix it, sthapaya. Mayi eva adyavasayam kurvatim buddhim cha adhatsva niveshaya. Let your buddhi itself. What is the buddhi? The objective part of the mind which is able to observe us, which says, oh, you and you. You did this today, right? Haha, look at so and so. You did this today. You thought this today. That fantastic, objective, observing part of the mind, put that also, fix that also in me. Let it be absorbed in me. What will all this mean to you? Listen, surely you will dwell as one with me and in me henceforth. Right? Nischayena mad atmana mayi vasam karishyasi, nivasishyasi, nivatsyasi, shrunu, eva atah sharira patat urdhvam, which is after the fall of the body. Atah urdhvam. Right? Mayi vasam karishyasi eva atah sharira patat urdhvam. After the fall of the body, you will undoubtedly rest only in me. Na samshaya. There is no doubt in this point. Okay. Let me see. Let us read. Let us read 9, 10, and 11 and stop at 11, please. Because there is a nice sequence here. 9, please.
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततः मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय.
Beautiful. Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi. Shak is capable, possible, right? Shaknoshi is future tense, middle person singular. Na shaknoshi, you are not able to. Atha, in case you are not able to. Chittam samadhatum, you are not able to concentrate your mind. Mayi sthiram, in me in a stable fashion, right? Abhyasa yogena tato mam ichchaptum dhananjaya. Reach out to me through the yoga of repeated efforts. Abhyasa, what is abhyasam? In yoga abhyas, tatra sthitau yatno abhyasaha. The efforts undertaken to rest in that state is termed abhyasa. Right? Atha iti, atha evam yatha avocham, as I said before, avocham, beautiful, aorist of Vach. Tatha mayi chittam samadhatum sthapayitum sthiram achalam na shaknoshi chet. If you're unable to concentrate your mind steadfastly on me, then through the yoga of repeated efforts, tatha paschat abhyasa yogena chittasya ekasmin alambane sarvatah samahritya. Repeated efforts consist in fixing the mind after withdrawing it from all else, pratyahara, correct? On a single object, sthapanam, punah punah sthapanam. Sarvatah samahritya is pratyaharam. Punah punah sthapanam, I said. Tatra sthitau yatna abhyasa. That is dharana. Because yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana. Tat purvakah yogah samadhana lakshanah. And yoga means the concentration resulting from such efforts. Tena abhyasa yogena mam vishwarupam ichcha. You may seek to reach out to me in my cosmic form. Prarthayasva aptum he Dhananjaya. Okay. Now, number 10.
Abhyase apya samarthosi matkarma paramo bhava madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi.
Beautiful. Abhyase api asamarthaha asi. Important, asamarthaha. Suppose you are incapable even of abhyas. Bhagavan is slowly coming down the steps, making it easier and easier. Okay, you could not do abhyas. If you cannot make even these repeated efforts, mat karma paramo bhava, devote yourself wholly to my works. Mad artham api karmani, kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. Even by doing works for my sake, you will achieve perfection. Abhyase iti, abhyase api asamarthaha asi, ashaktaha asi. Tarhi, mat karma parama bhava, mad artham karma mat karma, tat paramaha mat karma paramaha, mat karma pradhanaha ityarthaha. Devote yourself to that. Let the doing of such work become the main thing for you. My work. Work for my sake. This is the idea. In the absence of repeated efforts, even by doing of my works, you will achieve perfection through mental purification and attainment of the knowledge of yoga. Sattva sushuddhi. Actually, this is one of the parts of Yamaniyama, Shaucham. Right? Sattva Shuddha will happen due to that. By doing the works of the Lord. Sattva Shuddhi Yoga Jnana Prapti Dvarena Avapsyasi. Now let us look at number 11, which we'll close with.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं तत्कुरु सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं तत्कुरु यतात्मवान्.
Tatah kuru yatatma. Very good. Atha etad api ashakto asi. Now, if you are incapable of even this, ashaktaha. Kartum mad yogam ashritaha. Sarva karma phalatyagam. Then with self-control, you renounce all the fruits of works to me. Tata kuru yatatmavan. With self-control. Atha etaditi. Atha punaha etadapi yat uktam mat karma paramatvam tat kartum ashaktaha asi. Mad yogam ashritaha. As it has been stated, devotion to the doing of my works, right, while being united with the Lord, is, suppose that is beyond your ability, then resorting to union with me and endowed with self-control. Mad yogam ashrita yatatmavan, renounce the fruits of all works. Union with me means performing works with a sense of surrender to me. Self-control means a disciplined mind. Idanim, so then this is the Or maybe we will, let us read 12 also, because 12 summarizes everything. Let us read 12.
श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागात् त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम्.
Beautiful. So now Bhagavan is turning the entire ladder upside down. Okay. In the beginning, when we read in Advaita, we look at you see the knowledge, meditation, and then karma, etc. Now Bhagavan is taking the opposite view to help the aspirant. He's saying, Shreyah hi jnanam abhyasat. Knowledge is superior to repeated efforts. So, chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga. Superior to knowledge, jnanat dhyanam vishishyate, he says. Dhyanat karma phala tyaga. Tyagat shanti nirantaram. So, superior or more praiseworthy is knowledge. Then what? Then repeated efforts without discrimination. This is important. This is a very beautiful point that Bhagavan Shankaracharya is saying. Viveka purvakat abhyasat. Tasmat api jnanat jnana purvakam dhyanam vishishyate. So remember, I said the importance of discrimination. Tremendous efforts without discrimination will not help. Right? So, superior or more praiseworthy is knowledge than repeated efforts without discrimination. Better than knowledge is meditation guided by knowledge. It is understood that superior to the meditation of the man of knowledge is the renunciation of the fruits of works. So, in other words, here by jnanam, Bhagavan to some extent is meaning the intellectual knowledge. So he's saying when it is accompanied by practice and dhyanam, meditation guided by knowledge, jnanavatah dhyanat api karma phalatya. So jnana purvakam dhyanam vishishyate. Jnanat jnana purvakam dhyanam. So more important, better than intellectual knowledge is that knowledge which is also accompanied by meditation. Right? But then even better than that is superior to the meditation of the man of knowledge is the renunciation of the fruits of works, because actually the renunciation of the fruits of the works is the sign of vijnanam. I told you that the mind goes inward and then comes outward, right? The inward moving mind, when it reaches the state of samadhi, there Bhagavan is talking about the experiential understanding, jnana purvaka dhyanam. When that has been accomplished, that jnani, when comes out and acts in the world, acts with perfect renunciation. That is why Bhagavan is saying it is superior even to that, because that is vijnanam. How does that person come out and act in the world? Right? So, it is understood that superior to the meditation of the man of knowledge is the renunciation of the fruits of works. Thus is peace born of the renunciation of the fruits of works, qualified as stated in verse 11. Evam karma phalatyagat purvokta visheshanavatah shantihi upashamah sahetukasya samsarasya anantaram eva syat natu kalantaram apekshate. Then takes place the quiescence of empirical life and its cause. It is not postponed to a later hour. Of this renunciation is peace born immediately. Now, you know, sometimes people say Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna was not so knowledgeable in Sanskrit and all these things. This is, of course, a canard, a myth, a wrong thing. Because I will tell you why. What is the mind of a jnani? What is the mind of the great guru who has directly accessed the truth without any seeming external help in the physical world? When Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna was asked, what is the meaning of the Gita? Okay, he gave the most fantastic summary that no person who has not had the direct experience can ever give. No learned parrot can give this interpretation. He said, Beta, Gita is, say Gita, Gita, Tagi, Tagi, Tyagi, 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 Tyagi. He said, Gita is Tyagi. This kind of brilliant one-word summary you cannot get, however much you have learned this, that, and the other learned parrot you are. Okay, that is why the great gurus are on a different plane, I tell you. And one should never compare them to the others because their experience is direct and immediate. He has said what is in this verse precisely. He doesn't have to read it. He has experienced it. You see what I'm trying to say? Right? And said it in such a simple way. Gita Tagi. Fabulous. Thrilling. 18 chapters condensed in one phrase. So this is beyond conception of learned parrots. They will always say, oh, he didn't know this, he didn't. It's not unimportant. You must, it is only a thief who can know the thief. You must practice, you must taste the nectar. Then the wisdom of the person who has tasted the nectar will become immediately apparent, right? So this is very, very appropriate here that he has explained this so beautifully. There is a long commentary on this. We'll come back to it. It's a little over time. I realized 6:46. So I will now say, you're given now a very beautiful ladder of progress in both directions, Prakarana Grantha and Bhagavan's Bhagavad Gita. So with that, let us say Shanti Mantram, and hopefully you enjoyed Satsang. We will meet again. Om Tacham Yoravrimahe Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Daivihi Swastirastu Naham Swastirmanushebhyah Urdhvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astu Dvipadehe Sham Chatushpade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Namaskar, namaskar.
Namaskar, Uncle. Very nice to see you. Very nice to see everybody. Have a lovely weekend and see you next week.
Namaste, Dr. Shankar.
Namaste.